for our Capuchins and our spider monkeys. We have 62 Capuchins here at the park. It is the largest collection of any species that we have. Our chimps numbers are in the 50s, but these guys are in the 60s, so they do win. Majority of them have the same background. They came to us from a biomedical testing lab in Chile. You can see the cage here. This is not a replica, this is a genuine cage from the lab that they used to live in. They spent up to 20 years in solitary confinement in these cages before they came to live with us here at the park. The lab actually reached out to us, said they'd finished testing on their animals and can we take as many of them as possible off their hands. The standard procedure in this country and abroad when you finish testing on animals is to euthanize them, so to put them all to sleep. So we do massively sing the praises of the lab because it would have been much quicker, easier and cheaper for them to just euthanize everyone, but they didn't. They fought really hard for them to be homed here at the park, so we do massively sing their praises for that. Initially we were going to get 30, get them settled in, get the rest in dribs and drabs, just so it wasn't a massive intake in one go, but as things often don't, it didn't go to plan. There was lots of animal rights protests happening outside of the lab and the lab workers' lives started to be threatened. So they said, come and pick your favourite 30 and we will euthanize the rest. So we did what any logical person would do and pick up almost 90 Capuchins overnight. So we went from 4 Capuchins to 92 Capuchins overnight here at the park as we picked up all 88 that were still in the lab and brought them all back here to the park. All successfully survived the flight. We were quite worried about one of the old boys. He had quite a severe tooth infection. It was too close for us to have time to operate on him and let him recover before going on the flight. We were worried about the pressure changes messing with his tooth and everything, but every single one of them made it back here to the park and settled in perfectly, which is what we wanted. Originally we had them split into males and females, so in 2 large groups just to prevent breeding. Our males are all now vasectomized, so they live in the mixed sex groups you see today. And this is our largest group behind us. This is Franco's group. There's 19 individuals in here. You've got Donnie's just behind you there. That's our youngsters. All of those were really young when they came from the lab, only like 2 to 3 years old. So they've actually spent majority of their life here at the park rather than in the lab. On the other side of the enclosure, you have Winslow's group. That's a mid-sized group as well with 12 individuals. We've got Erico's partway through the park, or the lodge, there's 14 in there. And then we have a small off-show group of 5 as well. So they are split into these 5 groups. Franco is the only male in this group. Some people would say he's lucky. He would beg to differ. And we just have way fewer males than we do females. That's how it's ended up like this. Franco is also, oh, he's just appearing on the right-hand side of that little post there. You can see a dark lump there. That is Franco. He's come to say hi. Obviously, they're absolutely loving this weather with the sun being out. So they're spending a lot of their time on this front platform sunbathing. So he's probably going to pop out and say hello. But yeah, Franco's there, so that's the dominant male. A Capuchin in the wild would live about 20 to 25 years. Of the ones we have from the lab, we still have 55 of them 18 years later. Obviously, we have lost some to old age, but again, in the wild, they live about 20 to 25 years. Dot, who's in this group, she's not out and about at the moment, I'll keep an eye out for her, is estimated to be 44. So they are living an awfully long time.
44?
44, yes.
That's double.
Yeah, literally more than twice their life expectancy. How we've got this number is we know that she was a fully grown adult when she was wild caught to be tested on in the lab. They reached maturity about 6 to 7 years of age. She then spent 20 years in the lab. She's then been with us for a further 18 years. So even if she was only just reached maturity and was only 6 years of age, she'd be 44. Realistically, she's probably closer to her 50s. But we have quite a few oldies in this group. Cecil is just in the middle there. If she pops out, you might see she has some balding on her back. And at the lodge, Erico's group, you'll also see a couple of them have some bald backs. There's a combination of factors that causes this. One, majority of them are raised in solitary confinement, so they don't have the normal socialisation skills that they should. And they are very rough-handed when they groom one another. When they came from the lab, they had those innate behaviours where they wanted to groom each other, but they just don't do it quite right, and they are very rough-handed. Their fur is designed to come out if grabbed and pulled, so if they're grabbed by a predator in the wild, they can get away. If our youngsters get over-groomed, that hair just grows back nicely, but when they're more than twice their life expectancy, we just see some of the oldies are struggling to regrow that hair where it has been over-groomed. So if you do see anyone with some bald spots, it's normally on their back, and it is just one of our real oldies. There's nothing wrong with them, they're just absolutely ancient at this point. Mixed in with our lab ones, as I said, we have 62 Capuchins and 55 are from the lab. The other 7 individuals we've got have been kept as pets. Majority have been kept as pets in this country. Babe, who's in Winslow's group, she came with the name, we didn't name her. She is Spanish, so she's our Spanish Babe. But everyone else has been kept as a pet in this country. It is literally until a couple of weeks' time still legal to keep a lot of species of primates as a pet without a license. You can walk into a pet shop and buy over 80 species of primates without a license. So you can just walk in, buy a monkey and walk out, and there's nothing stopping you. Thankfully, this is changing literally in a matter of weeks' time. They announced a law in April 2 years ago to give current pet owners the chance to get up to standard. But essentially, anyone who keeps a primate as a pet as of April will have to register their pet. Anyone who doesn't register it and they're discovered, it will be an immediate confiscation of that primate. And anyone who does register it will have to undergo regular inspections to prove they are keeping up to standard. They're actually going to be held to the exact same standards that we are in order to keep our primates, which is great. So it doesn't just mean enclosure size, it also means giving them large sociable groups. In the wild, these guys live into groups of up to 40 individuals. They're highly sociable, and we really do see that they suffer when they're kept in solitary in the pet trade. They're massively intelligent as well, so you'll need to give them the right level of enrichment to keep their brains occupied. And something that's quite often overlooked is ensuring they get enough UV light and enough access outdoors. Terry, who's in this group, she's actually just sat by the mesh on the floor over there. There's a very gingery one. Oh, yeah. You may not see her from here, but that is Terry. Terry is one of the worst cases of rickets we've ever seen here at the park. She came to us in 2001, so she was here before the lab ones arrived. She's been with us a very long time. She was kept as a pet exclusively indoors with no outdoor access. These guys have a really high requirement for vitamin D3. Without D3, your body can't properly process calcium. It's the exact same for us humans as well. But because they come from such sunny areas in Southern America, they need a very high amount of vitamin D3. Without this D3, as they're growing, their bones lose density. If you look at a rickety animal under an X-ray, it looks like their bones are made of marble. And essentially, as they hit the growth spurt years as they're growing, their bodies are growing quicker than their bones can handle, and those bones bend. So Terry's femurs and her legs and her spine are bent in almost an L shape, where she just grew too quickly and her bones couldn't handle the weight of it. As I said, she is the second worst case of rickets we have ever seen here at the park, so it is quite a severe case. You do tend to see a life expectancy reduction with those of them with rickets, purely because mobility gets an issue as you get old anyway, as in bent bones, and obviously you're going to see a life expectancy reduction. Terry does not listen to the rules. Terry will be having her 41st birthday this year. Really? She's doing incredibly well physically, but she's also doing really, really well socially, which obviously puts a massive impact on their lives. She is quite often nicknamed by the staff as the princess. She is prone to temper tantrums. But we also have Veronica, who's the dominant female of this group, is nicknamed the bodyguard. Wherever Terry goes, Veronica isn't far away, and if anyone gives Terry any problems, Veronica is there to shut it down immediately. So she's doing really well socially as well as physically, which obviously massively helps with how she's doing in the groups. If you visited recently and you've noticed that the groups have switched, it's because Donnie's group used to be in this enclosure, but that tunnel you see behind you is a main route up to their upstairs bedrooms, whereas Franco's, you can see along the fence line there, are more on ground level. And we're just finding that Terry was struggling to get up and down that tunnel every day, so we just swapped it to make Terry's life easier, and again, it's made a massive impact on her life. Before I waffle on about capuchins for too long, I'm going to talk about our spider monkeys. So we have 62 capuchins, massively different. We only have 3 spider monkeys. They all have the same background. They were actually kept as pets somewhat by people who are actually zookeepers by trade. They've been asked to hand rear these spider monkeys for their work, and their work just never asked for them back. And suddenly they had 3 adult spider monkeys living in their home. They willingly surrendered them to us 13 years ago now. They still visit the park twice a week, every week for the past 13 years, to come and visit them, bring us some of their favourite snacks and snacks for our capuchins as well. So they are truly the most incredible people you will ever meet. These spider monkeys, we have 2 males and 1 female. We've got Flint, Hickory and Pumpkin. Pumpkin is the lady. If you didn't see them in their enclosure, unfortunately they don't have an indoor viewing area, but the best place for you to see them is when you head back through the building. If you look over the gate on your left hand side, you should be able to see them in the tunnels. These guys absolutely love to sunbathe, and in this weather I can almost guarantee that they are sat in the tunnels catching some rays right now. It's their favourite pastime. If you want to ID them, Hickory is brown, the other two are more of a black colour, so he's quite different compared to them. Pumpkin and Flint, sorry, is black, but he's got a white diamond on his head. And Pumpkin is the one with the big fat belly. Pumpkin likes to eat her share of food and everyone else's, so we very strictly track what our spider monkeys are eating, and they are weighed regularly as well, so we can keep an eye and make sure that everyone is sitting at a nice healthy weight. And we also do what's called cooperative feeds with them twice a day. Unfortunately, again, you can't see inside of their indoor viewing area. If you could, I'd be able to show you, but they each have a this is Dot. This is our oldest lady, if anyone missed her earlier.
Hello, darling.
She's clearly knew we were talking about her and has come to say hello. So this is our oldest Capuchin that we have here. She's got some snacks and she's come to say hi. They have 3 stations inside their indoor area, and twice a day we ask them to stations. They each have their own designated platform. We give Pumpkin something small, give the boys a much larger version, and then we reward Pumpkin again with a smaller version of what we've given the boys. It means we can get a lot of calories into the boys in a short space of time, but Pumpkin knows if she breaks stations, if she leaves her platform to try and take something from the boys, the entire extras feed ends, so no one gets anything. So she knows if she sits there and lets the boys eat a little bit extra, she continues to get food as well. So it's a positive experience for her, and she actively wants to participate. It's probably her favourite time of the day because she knows she gets snacks. Unfortunately, because they were kept in a house, they do have a preference for human food. The best thing that we find to give them for these extras feeds is actually avocado. It's high in calories, it's high in good fats and oils. As they're aging, it's really good for their fur and for their joints as well. And we tend to sway more towards that because some of their other favourites do include malt loaf and marmalade sandwiches, which are great, but obviously they're very high in sugar. So we try to do the best we can to replicate what they would have out in the wild instead of human food. But being ex-pet, they're a little bit more fussy than most of our individuals. Our Capuchins and our spider monkeys are fed 6 times a day, so if they're telling you they're hungry, they are lying. And they get a fruit, a root, a veg, a leafy, a scatter and a protein every day. We give them the same categories of food, just so we know we're hitting all the targets that they need calorie and nutrition wise, but we change up exactly what we give them every day just so it doesn't get boring and repetitive. There's no such thing apart from humans that choose to be as a vegetarian primate. All primates eat meat to some extent. So the pellet that we give them is actually very high in protein. They get that most days purely because it is specially designed by Alison and our vet team for the specific protein needs of our individuals. You can't buy it in a pet shop or any other zoo. It is designed for our guys. They get that most days just because it covers all bases, but they get boiled egg and chicken breast a couple times a week as well, just to switch things up. The Capuchins will also like to hunt their own stuff as well, so if you see them digging around the edge, it's normally them bringing up any worms, but it's also not uncommon for them to try and catch a bird or a frog as well. They still have those innate hunting behaviours. Spider monkeys are pretty much arboreal, which means they don't touch the ground. They spend most of their time up in the trees, and for this they have what's called a fully prehensile tail. The Capuchins have a semi-prehensile tail, so it's mainly used for balance and communication. If they come down these bits of posing, they normally hook one over the top and walk along the bottom one. But the spider monkey's tail is fully prehensile, meaning it can act as an additional limb and support their entire body weight. If there's something they want off the ground in the wild, they don't want to stand on the ground, so they'll normally hook their tail around a branch and pick things off the ground without ever touching a hand or foot to the ground. That tail is extremely strong and full of muscle, obviously, to be able to support their whole body weight. And on the tip of it, it has unique pattern. The best way to describe it is like how we have unique fingerprints. The tip of their tail has a unique pattern that's unique to each individual spider monkey as well. They also don't have any thumbs. If you've seen the gibbons today, you'll see they have tiny little nubby thumbs. Spider monkeys don't have any thumbs at all. The more arboreal, so the more time an animal spends in the trees, the more adaptations you tend to see to their hands and feet. And this is true with our spider monkeys. Thumbs just get in the way when they're swinging through the jungle, so they've evolved to not have them and have 4 very long fingers instead, which act like a hook as they are moving. The only thing that really affects for us keepers is with the Capuchins, we try and chop their food as small as possible and scatter it around so they can do those natural foraging behaviours, and also because they're living in large sociable groups, it means the dominant animals can't steal all of the food if it's in lots of small pieces. With the spider monkeys, however, if we chop it too small and it's on the ground, they will not bother going on the ground to go and get it, and if it's too small they can't easily hold it without their thumb. So we tend to chop their food into larger pieces than we do with our Capuchins, and normally into stick shapes as well, so it's easy for them to grab with just their 4 fingers. And obviously it gives us different challenges with their enrichment as well, because they can't do everything the Capuchins can do because they don't have thumbs. problems. So they pose different challenges to us keepers as well. You can see on their tunnels, when you do look later, they've got lots of buckets as well. It's another way that we can spread out the food without making it difficult for them to grab, so they can all eat at the same time without having to grab it all off of the floor. Spider monkeys as well, just like our capuchins, would live about 20 to 25 years. Hickory is our oldest boy and he is 33. Flint is the youngest and he is 26. So again, they're all past life expectancy, so we don't have any young spider monkeys here at the park. They're all very old, just like our capuchins. With our capuchins as well, I will just say our absolute youngest is actually Fabian, who's sat on the tunnel there. Him and the dominant male Donny are joint youngest, and they are 20 years of age. So our absolute youngest are life expectancy.
20.
So if anyone says there's a baby, I can guarantee you they are not. Our youngest, is already beyond life expectancy in the wild. So we have very, very old capuchins and spider monkeys here at the park. Does anyone have any questions about capuchins or spider monkeys? Yeah. Oh, that's a marmoset. So that's the little dudes. I used to work with these, but I work with these guys now. So yeah, that's a marmoset. That's not a capuchin.
Oh, isn't it?
So these guys are the ones that are most popular in the pet trade. So people keep these guys as pets, but the most common one are the little marms because they're small. And they still estimate there's about 5,000 to 6,000 pet monkeys in this country still undocumented. A lot of pet monkeys. It's mainly those guys.
When the law changes in a couple of weeks, if they find ones that aren't being looked after properly, could they end up here?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So
brilliant.
it's one of the main reasons we don't allow these guys to breed, is we want to have as much space as possible for new rescues. With our capuchins, at our peak we had 30 more than we do now, but it's the marmosets is going to be the big thing. Thankfully we're not in it alone. There are, unfortunately, because it's such a big problem, there are multiple primate rescues in this country. You've got ourselves, you've got Monkey Haven on the Isle of Wight, you've got Wild Futures now named Monkey Sanctuary in Looe in Cornwall, and you've got Wales Ape and Monkey Rescue in Wales as well. So there are 4 of us that are all fighting against it, but yeah, we are expecting an influx. How quickly that influx will start coming in, we're not sure, because it's going to be run by each individual council. Obviously it's going to be different between areas of how well it gets enforced. Thankfully we actually hosted quite recently, a lot of councilmen all came here to learn what to look for a good primate care. So yeah, it's going to be a hit the ground running and see how it goes kind of thing, but yeah, very likely we'll end up having quite a few cappies come here from the pet trade. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? If you do think of anything, we don't bite, feel free to grab us, but have a wonderful rest of your day, guys.
Thank you, sweetie.
Enjoy the sun.